I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
It's time for the Longines Chronoscope, a television journal of the important issues of the hour, brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A presentation of the Longines Wittnauer Watch Company, maker of Longines, the world's most honored watch, and Wittnauer, distinguished companion to the world-honored Longines. Good evening, this is Frank Knight. Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Admiral Byrd, may I ask you, is there a great difference between the top of the world and the bottom of the world?
There is. Now, the North Pole is the center of an ocean 10,000 feet deep. The South Pole, the center of a plateau 10,000 feet high. The North Polar Sea is surrounded by continents that are slightly frozen. The Antarctic continent is surrounded by a belt of ice, frozen seas of at least 1,200 miles thick. Now, the South is a plateau. It gets, in some places, 14,000 feet up. I've been over areas about 13,000, and it's a little bit chilly up there.
Well, thank you very much, Admiral Byrd. It's been a great pleasure to have you here tonight.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
The opinions expressed on the Longines Chronoscope were those of the speakers. The editorial board for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope was Larry Lasser and Kenneth Crawford. Our distinguished guest was Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
On this expedition, we hope to fly across the South Pole into the mysterious land beyond to see what is there. To the cameramen who made this picture, I want to give full credit. They did not hesitate to risk their lives at their job. Now, the North Pole is the center of a deep ocean, whereas the South Pole is the center of a high plateau which averages 7,000 or 8,000 feet in altitude. There is no life whatever beyond the edge of the world. It is cold and silent and dead. There are no Eskimo. It is too cold for human beings to live there permanently. When we left on this expedition, we were, to put it very mildly, extremely anxious to find out if it still existed. Would we be able to find it? And that was the great question. We left on this expedition from the Navy Yard at Boston. Here is our supply ship, the Rupert, just a big unprotected iron ship of 8,000 tons. And here is our icebreaker, the Bear, which we took as a protection for the personnel of the Rupert, and also to use exploring in dangerous ice areas. We took with us this time 150 Eskimo dogs and more than 14,000 different kinds of items for 2 years away from civilization, where there were no supply depots around the corner. Day followed day, week followed week, as we penetrated the great Pacific. And here we have an ordinary unprotected iron ship, sailing in seas no ship had ever been in before since the world began. It wasn't that we were any better than our predecessors. We simply had a more open ice here. We bucked the ice till we were finally stopped by an impossible pack. Impossible, at least, for the Rupert. But we wanted to see what was beyond the horizon. That's what we came for. And for that purpose, we had another string to our bow, aviation. We retreated a few miles and managed to find an open lake in the ice field. So we proceeded to put the plane overboard. We had to execute this maneuver as rapidly as possible because we knew that under the influence of the wind and the tide, the fields would soon close in around the ship again. In fact, the ice is already beginning to close in. Our plan was to go south with our steamer until we were stopped by ice, and to take up the attack on the unknown with aviation. And now at last we're going to find out what was in the southern part of this mysterious part of the world. For after battling the bad weather, here we are 240 miles within it. We came to this strange phenomenon, ice islands. This was a strange and weird sea. Steaming through these ice islands was an eerie sensation. Here was the twilight of the gods, and we were curious to know what these somber giants were guarding. At long last, the dice fell our way, for the elements acted in our favor. The wind and the tide which had closed the ice in around us finally opened the pack so that we could break our way into more open sea. We had added nearly 500,000 square miles to the Pacific Ocean. And here is our journey's end. At length we sighted that great natural phenomenon, the ice barrier. The ice barrier.
Southward Ho, the start of one of Admiral Byrd's 6 expeditions. Later, Byrd charts the course as the ship, her masts outlined against a scarred ice wall, nears the end of a 14,000-mile journey. The sea is strewn with loose, broken ice, but the sturdy ship crunches steadily on to her improvised berth against the ice barrier.
They pushed on, right up to the ice barrier.
At length we sighted that great natural phenomenon, the ice barrier. The ice barrier. The ice barrier. Therefore, whether we liked it or not, we had to go alongside the Great Barrier.
Even to the sailor, for whom the sea is an old story, there is adventure in the oceans at the end of the world.
Some of us may answer this call to adventure and journey with Admiral Byrd back to the poles, truly the ends of the earth.
The ice barrier.
In 1955, 2 years before his death, Admiral Richard Byrd departs on his 5th and last expedition. But it's not simply an unknown continent or a distant ocean that lures adventurers like Richard Byrd. As he put it, here is a door ajar through which one may escape from the noise and chaos of civilization into the solace and harmony of the cosmos, and for a moment be part of it.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.